Assalamu alaikum, adab, and welcome to Meri Kahani. This is my story, DewaneZahra, and I am Zahra Hamid from Lahore, Pakistan. And I am being joined by Madeeha Khan from Belgium. And Madeeha is joining us with her unique story of turning her grief into gratitude. Thank you so much, Madeeha, for being here, being part of DewaneZahra, my story. And Madeeha's story is one where she's talking to us about losing her father and about having a son who is on the autism spectrum and turning all these challenges, her personal challenges, and turning them into gratitude, which I think is a beautiful thing. Thank you so much, Madeeha, for being this strong, beautiful woman and this strong mother. So please tell us a little about yourself, Madeeha.
Okay. My name is Madeeha Khan, but everybody calls me Midi. And I'm 40. I've been in Belgium for over a decade now. I have 3 children, and my son is on the autism spectrum disorder. And I don't like saying that disorder. It sort of hurts. But I've come a long way, and I am very, very, very comfortable with it.
It's a condition.
It's a condition, yeah. And it's really, really very mild, just where it starts. So anybody who's watched Atypical Netflix ki series would know what I'm talking about. So life was pretty hunky-dory till last year. I taught English when I was in Pakistan. I came here, I studied French, I studied Dutch. And then I did the CELTA course, which allows me to teach English as a second language here in Belgium, because English isn't my mother tongue, wala scene. And my husband works for Bridgestone, and so I'm blessed that I have a very supportive husband and all. So life was
full of abundance. Yeah.
Yes.
Life is full of abundance.
The thing, right? It had to take a thing to get me to concentrate on the divine order and abundance. See, it took his passing. पहले बहुत अपनी फील होती थी और ये होता था कि Abu's there, so I can whine, I can be a kid, and I can say, oh ye kyun hai, and he'd be there. But
what was your Madeeha? Sorry to you're talking about abundance, right? So life was in abundance. Everything was, you're saying, was hunky-dory. So what was your challenge in all of this abundance that was there? What did you feel was your first challenge? One was your son, being on the autism spectrum.
See, I had him in 2012, and everything was fine. My challenge at that time was learning French, being here on my own.
Yes.
Hota hai sara, jaise, you're pregnant, the in-laws and the mehke wale will come with the pinjiriyan, and you're being spoiled rotten. My sister's visa was refused. Schengen visa isn't very easy to get for the very first. Yeah, so I was there by myself at the time of birth. It was just me. And I used to be the sort, sui se dar lagta, how all we are, parents ke ghar mein protected, and stuff like that. And then in 2015, I had my daughter. And had we known that my son is on the spectrum, I might not have gone for the third one. And over here, I would like to see the silver lining and how he's the best of planner, because he knew that Meri ko pata ho that my son is on the spectrum, and it gets a little severe for girls who are on the spectrum. They are more difficult to diagnose, and their cases at times are severe. So my challenges were, the last 10 years challenges were, staying up all night, breastfeeding, dropping kids, picking kids. I have friends here, but Zahra, wo wala scene, yahan ki dostiyan badi practical hoti hain, goron ki ke, which I respect, because I would want to do that too. Pakistan mein to ye hota hai na, chal aaj nahi to kal sleepover ho gaya, koi aa gaya. Idhar I was like, mother hen. And so 2015, I had my daughter, and she fell ट्वाइस बहुत बुरे तरीके से ज़ारा, मेरी छोटी बेटी. सो एक दफ़ा शी फेल और उसकी बेड के कोने की वुडन कॉर्नर जो होता है ना उसका इस तरह स्लिट कर गया इधर से पीछे स्कैल्प. और एक दफ़ा शी फेल राइट, दोनों दफ़ा मेरी आंखों के सामने. एक दफ़ा शी फेल तो ना इधर उसकी कोई कील टाइप, देयर वाज नो कील. I can show you the place. There was no key. It went here. But for me, you know, I do not pray 5 times a day. For me, जब मैं रोते रोते अबू को फोन करके कहती थी ना कि बाबा ये क्या हो गया बाबा. My youngest is Rasti. She was 4 when she, दोनों दफा. तो अबू used to say, फिक्र क्यों कर दी है, रब रखा, मैं हैगा. He would talk in Punjabi. ज़ारा वो जो दरवेश होते हैं ना जो गोल गोल घूमते हैं, तो मैं अपने बाप की आशिक थी.
Tell us about your relationship with your dad, because you were very close to your dad.
I think a sukoon होता है ना, sukoon का word. He was sukoon. He embraced me, and Sarah, he doted on me with all of my imperfections. He doted on me. He was like larger than life, right? And then he would come down. I wouldn't say come down, but for me, I would say he would come down to my level, talk to me, love me, listen to me. And he would always hear me. He would never be dismissive. He would never brush off. And I think the only thing, जिसमें आप अल्लाह से भी ज़ारा आयत करते हो, आप रिलीजियस हो ना हो, आप कहते हो, आप क्वेश्चन करते हो. अगर जो मजहब या जो एंटिटी आपके दिमाग में आए ही ना, अगर आप उसे क्वेश्चन ही नहीं कर रहे, तो इट मीन्स कि इट डजंट exist maybe. तो मैं अगर अब्बू से कहूँ ना, अगर if I could talk to अब्बू right now, तो मेरे पास कोई शिकायत है ही नहीं. He was so perfect कि मेरे पास कोई शिकायत है नहीं, except the fact that उन्होंने मुझे showbiz में नहीं जाने दिया, and camera is my calling. But
you can still do it, Madeeha. But what happened to him, Madeeha? What happened? So you had this brilliant relationship with your father. And he was this all-encompassing man. He was a retired colonel, and he was this really, really very soft, very loving person.
No, sweetheart, he wasn't soft. He was
okay, so tell me more. Tell us more about him.
So he, his name is Lieutenant Colonel retired Colonel Najmuddin Khan, and everybody used to call him Najmi. And he was, life of the party, very politically incorrect. And then he would crack a joke. वो CEO से भी ऐसे ही बात करते थे. Ophthalmologist के जाते थे Dr. Tayyub के, because he had an issue with his eye. And Dr. Tayyub would sit late in the night, and Abu would just walk in, and he would go to the, the secretary or, whoever she was or he was, he would walk up and say, इत्थे ते रौनक बड़ी हैगी, मैनू लगदा 2 घंटे च ते तैयब इंग्लैंड दा टिकट कटा लेंदा होएगा. So he was very politically he was well after he retired. He worked for WAPTA for a little time, and he's the sort who would play 18 to 36 holes of golf at Gymkhana, and people would shout at him, oh pagal hoye, the ganda nala Gymkhana ke bilkul saath. And so he would keep a piece of a small towel here, and then he went basically hum zimedar hai, so we have village and land, so he did his zimedar, and he was devastatingly good looking chain smoker ki wajah se his voice was like dreamy, theek hai. And I think my face blows up when I talk about him, because magical. And he was fine. 2010 I left Pakistan, and he was fine. And then what he used to say, 70 de baad mein padhai de, that one medical issue phir ye wo. But he was fine. He was bilkul theek the. Sciatica ka problem tha. 2016 mein he had idhar ki unki surgery hui thi, and but he was fine, and he was rocking his hospital gown. Idhar unko itna bada wo patch laga hua tha stitches ka, and he's smoking. So my father smokes in the hospital, right? And then the doctor,
you can't stop this generation, obviously you can't.
Abu says मैं डरता नहीं. मैंने कहा मैं अब इसका क्या कहूँ? And then the nurse or somebody would come in and say, कर्नल साहब ये सिगरेट की स्मेल आ रही है. And then he would say, ए जी मेरा ड्राइवर है, मैनू मना करदा ना पी, पींदा रहिंदा साला. And then the doctor would say, but the pack of cigarettes is on your bedside table. So he was funny and he was full of life. And people who know him, Zahra, people who know him do not forget him. So he is not the sort who would walk in the room and you wouldn't look. He's the sort who would who would clear his throat to ensure, that's how he would walk into his sister's house as well, that he would clear his throat to, announce that I'm there.
He's arrived. Yes.
Yeah. And
like he's arrived right now with us. He's here,
Zahra more than ever. And 2019 where, everything was fine. And I was right here in Belgium. We had just bought a house and we were not planning on going to Pakistan in 2019. And I would tell all the time कि बाबा 2020 की ईद मैंने आपके साथ करनी है, बड़ी ईद 2020 की. And then he would call my children Chanda Mamu, and so he would say कि वो जीदी ठंडा. He would always call my children जीदी ठंडा, all his grandchildren. And I would keep on saying कि बस बाबा अब तो इंशाल्लाह अगले साल की बड़ी ईद मैं आपके साथ करूँगी. मुस्तफ़ा में बाबा इतनी improvement है, और because he goes to a different school. And 30th June 2019 he wakes up, Zahra, in Lahore. And 29th June was a beautiful night because Afghanistan Lahore ka match tha. The house was filled with his grandchildren and his daughters-in-law and sons, and it was jaise Allah Taala unko send off de rahe the, so it was filled with laughter and everything. 30th June he wakes up, I am here. अम्मी से मेरी बात हो रही है, and अम्मी से मैंने कहा मैं क्या हो रहा है, and I chat with her on WhatsApp and she says कि nothing, relaxing Sunday. At that time she was sitting at CMH. Okay, she had not told me. My father had some issue with his prostate, which is very normal because they say 75 ke baad, no big deal.
Yes.
He did a scan. ठीक है, एक स्कैन था which falls under the category of nuclear medicine, right? So I had that too, like gallium scan and gallium scan. So when that nuclear dye is injected in you, you need to be very careful. बच्चों से दूर रहो, pregnant औरतों से दूर रहो. If you pee, you have to make sure that you wash it out or whatever. So 1 in a million का ज़रा chance होता है कि आपको allergic reaction हो जाता है. 1 in a million का. 30th June को he wakes up, he looks at Ammi and he says कि मेरा ना गला थोड़ा सा हो रहा है, dry हो रहा है. Ammi says that Ammi quickly gives him an anti-allergy, and Ammi remembers that she's the one who gave him his last glass of water, right? So details like this either eat away at you or you keep on thanking the Almighty for getting the chances that you got. To cut long story short, he went to DHA Medical Center. They said that Colonel Saab, it's a Sunday, you need to go to CMH. Abu was, very proud of him being the army officer and true patriot and stuff like that. So he went to CMH. They checked him. They said it's nothing. They shifted him to the room. He had called my mother, and my mother said that, I'm on the way. And she reached there, and Abu was sitting right in front of her, complaining, ये बढ़ रहा है. And Ammi was messaging me and saying, oh, it's a lazy. So I had to make peace with the fact that Ammi did not tell me at that time, and I could have had my words with him or, whatever. And it aggravates. उनकी यहाँ बहुत swelling हो जाती है, जिसकी वजह से he has a cardiac arrest and he collapses. It takes the doctors 16 minutes to resuscitate him. Right? And obviously they are resuscitating him. I don't know any of this abhi tak, theek hai? And ye wahan ki story hai. And it took him 16 minutes. Jaise oxygen aa raha tha Abu ke John se part mein, he would crack he would joke. And you know, the Dr. Arshad at CMH, he is brilliant. He's brilliant. And you know, he's resuscitating him, and wo Abbu ko oxygen mask de rahe hain, and Abbu is, you know, trying to talk, you know, being, you know, his usual self. And then the doctor comes out and says to my family, who has gathered by now, that agar Colonel साहब का कोई और बच्चा या कोई और है बेटी बाहर, ये बेटा तो बुला दें, because we can't say. And my husband was out with my son and my daughter, and you know, he was buying meat or whatever, and he comes back, and I'm in the kitchen, and he says that, Miri, idhar aao, meri baat suno. And I say, Usman, abhi main busy hu, and you know, whatever. And I'm very nonsensical and, you know, silly like that. And he's like, nahi, meri aake baat suno. And I'm saying, Usman, abhi mera romance ka mood nahi hai. You know, I haven't had my coffee. You know, I'm joking like that because 29th June, Abbu perfect the. Abbu kya laga rahe to lude patte ne catch chhad deta hai sala. You know, he was doing that. And Usman sits me down, and Usman says, Miri, wo uncle critical hai, packing karo. And I'm like, uncle kaun? And he's like, tumhare Abbu. मैंने कहा क्यों, अब्बू को क्या हुआ? तो he's like, वो उनका कुछ था नहीं, you know, random, because इस age में ज़ारा, the more you look into a human body, आपको होता है वो kidney भी इतनी perfect नहीं है, ये भी इतना perfect नहीं है. So you know, they were pursuing a couple of things, and I was like, अच्छा. And then he's like, नहीं. And Zara, I started howling, and he's my exact opposite. And he's like, don't cry, start packing. And I pack, and I have no, मेरी अम्मी से बात नहीं हुई, मेरी बहन ने मोबाइल ऑफ किया हुआ था, मेरी किसी से बात नहीं हो रही थी. I muster up the courage and I call up my बहनोई, and I shout at him कि हसन नहीं, क्या हुआ अब्बू को? And he's like, अभी critical है, critical. मैंने कहा अब्बू के लिए ये words use क्यों हो रही, critical हैं, हुआ क्या? I had no idea. I get on the plane with my 3 children with absolutely no contact Lahore में कि अब्बू का क्या है. I dump my children at Ammi's. I go to CMH, and everybody says that, oh, मेरी मत देखो, वो infection है, ये है, वो है. And I keep on saying कि तुम लोगों ने देखा है, तो obviously मैं भी देखूंगी. मतलब, who are you fooling? I'm going to go in. So I walk up to him. Zara, when you have a cesarean, you know कि क्या होगा. Somebody who's battling with cancer, you know कि, oh, she might not have hair, or she might have lost weight. Open bypass, whatever, you know कि stitches यहाँ से शुरू हो जाते. I had no idea मैं अपने अब्बू को कैसे देख रही हूँ. ठीक है, मेरे अब्बू हैं लायन किंग में मुफासा है ना, मेरा बाप के लिए मुफासा था. And I go and I open the curtains, and I see him इधर उनकी ट्रेकियोटमी हुई है, so you know, dried blood है यहाँ, उनके मुंह में पाइपें हैं, feeding tube hai, his hands are tied with pieces of cloth so he doesn't know, and he's in induced coma. So I go up to him and, you know, shout out to all my bhabis and my brothers. Story for another day, that, you know, relations like bhabi and saas and bahu can be so bloody beautiful. So I was blessed in that way. My bhabiyan took such excellent care of me. So 2nd July, I see him. 3rd July is my sister's birthday, and he opens his eyes. So usually when, you know, a person who comes out of a coma would say something like, Meri biwi kahan hai, ya Meri aulad kahan hai, and he opens his eyes, and my brother is around, and he says, cigarette. And you know, my brother looks at him and says, Abbu, aapke oxygen tank और वेंटिलेट भी आए, खुदा का नाम ले, सिगरेट नहीं अभी. So, you know, 3rd July बहुत अच्छा गुजरा. I went up to him and I said, Baba, मैं आ गई हूँ. And you know, he very lovingly, Zara used to call me man daughter. And I would tell him that, Baba, LGBT community क्या, sexual fluidity क्या, आप मेरे gender का सत्यानाश कर रहे हैं. I identify. He was proud of me. So he would say कि तू मेरा तीसरा बेटा है. ठीक है. So I don't hold that against him. It was a different generation. वो उतने woke नहीं थे जितने अब हम हैं. You know, मेरा जिस्म मेरी मर्जी type. So he would always take pride in the fact कि तुम सब कुछ वहाँ.
But then what happened, Madeeha? So he made it out of his coma, and then what happened? How did you lose him?
3rd July, 4th July, I would go up to him. These dates are very important, and I'll tell you why. 5th July, because he had brain trauma. right? He had bounced back. Resuscitate होने के बाद बिल्कुल bounce back कर गए थे. 2nd July, 3rd, 4th, 5th July were wonderful. पहले he wasn't recognizing me because he knew कि मैंने कहा था 2020 की ईद. So he knew कि मैंने तो आना ही नहीं है और brain trauma था, so he wouldn't recognize me. और मैं इनको डॉक्टर को भी, और मैं सारों के साथ जोक करती थी कि यू गाइज लिव हियर, आई डोंट, तो ये मुझे ही ना कहीं भूल जाए टाइप. एंड सो 5th July I walk up to him and he's sitting on the wheelchair and he's, you know, हंस रहे हैं and all. And I go up to him and I say, पापा मुझे पहचाना. एंड डॉक्टर ने कहा था उनके हाथ पकड़ना, उनको ना एक्सरसाइज कराना. सो आई वॉक अप टू हिम थिंकिंग कि नहीं पहचानेंगे. आई होल्ड हिज हैंड्स एंड ही सेज, तेनू कौन नहीं पहचानता, ठीक है. एंड आई टॉक टू हिम, माय नीस हुज देयर, उसने वीडियो खुद ही बना ली, ठीक है. और 6th July his body went into septic shock. So from 6th July to 5th August हम रोज मरते थे, हम रोज जीते थे, पता चलता था अब ये organ shut down हो रहा है. And I was there with him in the CMH. बाहर के डॉक्टर्स आते थे, you know, I've got my family who's abroad, whose doctors, they would call in favors, जाओ नजमी चचा को देख लो and all. And he just kept on losing weight and then he kept on slipping into vegetative coma. It was so painful and I would go talk to him. You know, I was there when we signed the DNR. It was I was there. जब सारे, you know, my sister wouldn't go and nobody else. It was me and my older brother, right? And both of us were a mess. You know, we would keep on crying and negotiating with the Lions. But then he passed away on August 5th. पूरों की तरह. He just had his oxygen mask और पहले सारा हल्की हल्की आवाज आ रही थी उनके सांस की, खर खर खर. And you know, उनकी हड्डियां सारी निकल आई थी. उनकी मूछें उस तरह की नहीं थी जिस तरह वो खुद शेव करते थे. उनका हेयर कट उस तरह का, but it was still a poo, right? It was still a poo. So and then August 5th he and all those 2 months in July and August I had to, Zahra, मेरे लिए बहुत challenging थे because I had my children, I had to take care of them, I had to be strong for my mother. I had to be so I was abusing Lexotanil, Xanax, and you know, prescription drugs. I was basically numbing myself. And when I came, and you know, I did not have those drugs, and I was like, oh shit, you know, shit just got real. And December was bad. I was into self-harm. I used to be, I would wear Abu's clothes and I wouldn't take them off. I bought 2 shalwar kameez of his for my, you know, for myself, and I would howl in the streets. And I was so miserable. What helped me at that time was keeping busy. So January.
How did you do that? How did you keep yourself sane during this time? I mean, these were some of the things that you were doing, but you had.
Zahra, I started going back for French. I joined university again. I started giving private. जो बच्चे TOEFL के लिए करते हैं. So you know, COVID से पहले, my place, after COVID it was online. COVID में, you know, things got really bad. And then I realized, Zahra, that, you know, it's not as simple as it looks. Oh, grief hai, kya hua? Namaz pad lo ya, you know, ye kar lo to theek ho jayega type. It doesn't work like that. You are battling with so much of guilt, wrath. You know, आपके अपने demons बहुत हैं, Zahra. आपका root and what helped me was this grief therapist. And you know, he basically took me back, and I was very skeptical. He basically took me back in time, Zahra, when I was sort of molested as a child when I was hardly 5. And it was embedded at my subconscious level. Kisi us pe. And
So he took you back to your childhood.
He took me back to my childhood.
To when you were 5 years old.
When I was 5 years old, and because my friend referred him to me, and I was very skeptical. ये मुझे ये yoga और deep breathing type में बंदी हूँ नहीं, मैं बहुत उलाला type Bollywood हूँ, तो इस तरह की चीजें नहीं मुझे समझ आती. So I was very skeptical. And he said, you know, I video call, and you know, my husband was there with me because मुझे था, I don't know who I'm talking to, and he just told me because my heart was so full. मैं बोलती गई. And he said that, Madeeha, I just want you to close your eyes for a little while. And I did. And then, he spoke of places and lights and, and then he said, where have you reached? Where are you now? And my eyes were closed. And Zahra, मैं रो रही थी. मैं बिल्कुल बच्चे की तरह रो रही थी. मैंने कहा कि Naveed, I don't want to be here. So he knows, he said, I know you don't, but you have to go through this to heal. So I self-esteem aa jata hai, love aa jata hai, अब्बू जैसा relationship जब चला जाता है, आप होते हो कि shit, what's the purpose of life? It's as if मेरी rebirth हुई है at the age of 40, because with this grief therapist and basically self-reflection, I'm able to connect all the dots. I'm able to turn every single thing. Zahra, what if he had fallen sick in COVID times? Yes. What if so it's like
so what have been some of the few things that have helped you profoundly to turn this really difficult time into gratitude? मतलब grief से, इस intense grief से, इस मुश्किल वक्त से, how did you go into gratitude?
Zahra, देखो, एक ये चीज़ है, through no fault of our parents or our society, we are given emotional poison, personal poison from a very छोटी age. ठीक है? आपके parents थोड़ा सा irritate होंगे, कहेंगे stupid, and you sort of agree with it, and I love my parents, they are the bomb, ठीक है? But होता रहता है. I was filled with बहुत ज़्यादा guilt. ठीक है? Because Zahra, मुझे ना non-stop कहते थे, नमाज पढ़ो, ये वाले पढ़ लो, वो वाला पढ़ लो, ये कर लो, वो कर लो. इस religion या किसी किस्म का भी faith should not be shoved down your throat, right? So I was battling with Zahra. मुझसे जब लोग इस तरह की बातें करते थे ना कि ये तो क्या, मुझे किसी ने क्या कहा था, हाँ, बाप की पासिंग आजमाइश बन सकती है अगर आप अल्लाह के क्लोज ना जाओ. भाई ये किस किस्म की तलवार टांग दी मेरे पे? मैं अपने अब्बू को ब्रीफ करूं या मैं वो करूं? What helped me was talking about it. I was battling with गुनाह सवाब. मुझे बार-बार लोग कहते थे कितनी रो रही हो. And this is one thing that we need to address in our culture, especially Pakistan. Zahra, वहाँ आपके grief को ना validate नहीं करते. अगर मैं कहूँगी ना मेरे अब्बू फौत हो गए, तो तुम तो खुशकिस्मत हो, कुछ तो होते हैं जिन्होंने अपने बाप देखे नहीं होते. अब मैं इसका क्या जवाब दूँ? मतलब कुछ नहीं. Exactly. You can't. So what helped me was talking about it and reading. I read a lot. I used to write a lot. Abbu ki picture मैं upload करती थी, and Facebook पे, I started this small journey where, I talk about my father, and people who know him, are like, and people who don't know him say, oh, I wish I knew him. And that I wasn't able to get a water cooler idhar, bahar for Abu, something else, but I celebrate his life, or Zahra, I have so much to be grateful for. Yeah, he loved big. And he would have been so bloody proud of me, and he was a man daughter all the way, or so I feel there is so much to be. Zahra, it's like a switch. जिसमें कहते नहीं आप फोकस ठीक कर लो कि थोड़ा सा blurred है, तो अब I'm very unapologetic about what I want. I talk to others and I say I'm 40, right? But it doesn't mean that my life has to take a back step now or मैं passive हो जाऊं. It's about.
I think it should be the opposite. I think you're coming into your own, Madeeha, and in such a strong way. I think the fact that you are here today, you've taken this step to own your story, to talk about it, and you are a complete personality. You are your father's daughter, and larger, bigger than life.
When someone says this to me, कि you are your father's daughter, या मुझे कोई मुझे class 6 की Seru and I reconnected, and Zahra, so many gems I have collected. Class 6 की friend, class 8 की, Facebook should be used for this, right? And that is what I tell you know, when I go live, कि why just because मैं बेल्जियम में हूँ, मैं अपनी चची को नहीं, जिनसे relations आपके बहुत अच्छे होते हैं, होती है, favorite खाला होती है, कि just because I'm here, so you know, nobody's there to sort of wipe my tears. Why can I not ask for help? Why can I, you know, when you lose weight or you buy a designer bag or you go on a vacation, आप Facebook पे लगाते हो. I would, you know, I battled with self-esteem to, I cannot believe I'm saying this, you know, I would photoshop the fudge out of my picture or edit, और नीचे बहुत कोई रूमी की कोट लगा के ना ऐसे pout करके, what shit. I love to. I would continue doing that. But you know, it's as if Zahra, मैं जाग गई हूँ. It's as if I know what I want. I'm so as long as, you know, I'm a doting mother, which people who know me know that, you know, my children you know, are well raised or whatever, as a wife, as a mother. But Zahra, what about me? Even before a daughter, even before a grieving daughter, Allah Ta'ala ने मुझे बनाया है with my desires and all. So you know, okay fine, बच्चे बड़े हो गए and all, but ये क्यों है कि 40 है तो बस अब सिर्फ कमेटी पार्टी हो सकती है या बच्चा. I'm sorry, maybe I don't love them enough, but I need to love myself.
Madeeha, own your story, because your story, you authentically you as you are, is so beautiful. I can't tell you what a pleasure it has been to talk to you. And also, you know, you're so unique as you are. The way you tell your story, the humor and life with which you tell your story. So whether you become a grief therapist, whether you become an actress, whether you become a stand-up, you know, I don't know what you're going to do with this, but please don't stop. And let this be the starting of that journey. And thank you so much for coming today. And I hope that, you know, we hear and keep hearing from you more and more. And I know you are going to have many, many followers. Keep talking, keep rocking. And thank you so much for coming.
Okay, okay. So we are going to end
so
up.
much.
Super excited, Zahra. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing your story with us. Thank you.
Okay.
Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz.